Hello there, and thanks for joining us on the Joy News channel. This is The Pulse. This afternoon, at least 7 people have reportedly been killed and several others injured in an ongoing clash at Lakula in the North Gonja district of the Northeast region. We take you there live to get you details shortly. Also, confusion is rocking the National Democratic Congress in the Ketu North area as its supporters warn they will not vote for the party's candidate for the next year's parliamentary elections after executives appointed Edem Agbana as their candidate, despite 2 candidates also obtaining the same amount of votes within the primaries. We'll get you the very latest from the Ketu North area. Also, Deputy Finance Minister Abena Osei Asari said to meet the pensioner bondholders on Friday to address some payment problems as she appeals to the bondholders to cease picketing the finance ministry. We'll get you a special report on what transpired today, and we'll also hear from some of the bondholders who have resumed picketing for the 3rd time because government is failing to pay their outstanding coupons. It's all coming up here on The Pulse. The Pulse is always brought to you by Global Communities Dignelu, Affordable Safe Sanitation. We're on DSTV channel 421. Thanks for joining us. Joy News is independent, fearless and credible. We start off from up north because there's been heavy fighting in the Janga community, a community near Walewale in the northeast region, with 7 people already reported dead. Unconfirmed reports say the fighting is a chieftaincy-related matter. Let's take you there now for more details on this development. Joining us is correspondent Eliasu Tanko, who's in the northeast region for us. Eliasu, thank you. Just bring us up to speed, first of all, on what's happening there as we speak. Eliasu, if you can hear me, I'm just asking you to bring us up to speed with this, gruesome murder that we're hearing of at least some 5 persons. What more is happening there as we speak?
Blessed, this violence erupted in the community of Lukula and several other nearby communities. And tension has been brewing in this particular community since last Monday between the 2 traditional areas, the Wasipe traditional area in the North Gonja district and the South traditional area in the West Mampresi municipality of the Northeast region. And it's as a result of several communities fighting over several communities who has the right to control these particular communities. And we understand that on Monday there was preparation to bring to the community a rival chief by the Gonjas. This prompted the Mampresi side to attempt to stop the arrival of this particular rival chief to the community. And this renewed the tension in that particular community. We understand police personnel were deployed, including officials or personnel of the national security. And the tension was brought under control. And there was a report, or there was a warning by the national security personnel that all armed men should leave this particular community. And only this dawn, we understand the armed men came there, resulting in these particular clashes as we speak. We understand the clashes are still ongoing in these particular communities. Allegedly, 7 people have been killed, including a local chief from the Mampresi side, who currently, we understand, the police have picked the dead bodies and they are taking them to Damango, the regional capital of the Savannah region. And
I'm just wondering at this point what it is that the Savannah, the Northeast Regional Security Council is doing about the situation, knowing that there were signals a couple of days earlier.
Well, I've been in touch with the Northeast Regional Minister, and he has been telling me that because of the strict assurance he got from the security on the ground, he was very certain or hopeful that the situation would not escalate. Unfortunately, we are seeing escalation of this particular situation. What we are learning is that the the both Security Council, the Savannah Regional Security Council and the Northeast Regional Security Council are currently in a meeting. We understand the police there are not able to protect or to prevent the violence because of the small number of the personnel in there. And so we understand the Security Council is making preparation to send more men to these particular communities where violence is currently raging. We understand more than half of the community members have fled. They started fleeing the community yesterday. I can confirm that several people are currently in communities in the Westman municipality of the Northeast region fleeing this particular violence. And as I speak to you now, reports from eyewitnesses and community members still indicate that the violence is still ongoing in the Lukula community.
Is there any indication as to whether or not there may be, in the coming days, some restriction on the movement of persons within the community as part of the security measures?
Well, as part of the measures to douse the tension in the first place, the national security was involved. And like I said, they gave clear indication as of yesterday. They gave clear indications that all traditional militants, if you like, or armed men should leave that particular area. But it appears the armed men did not heed to this directive by the national security. And so as I speak right now, it will be very difficult to say how the security is able to control the situation because, like I said, the tension started on Monday. They were not able to control it, and we are seeing escalation of violence. So it will be very difficult to say how the security is going to manage this issue.
I believe you've been engaging residents of the area. What's their feeling and what's the appeal to authorities?
Well, this is not the first time that violence has occurred in this particular community over this same dispute. It's been happening since 2019, and they are already aware of the situation. And like I said, many people are fleeing the community. As I speak to you now, we have not been able to speak with these particular fleeing residents, but we can tell that a lot of them are fleeing. As we speak, we are told more than 50 to 60 houses have been burned, and it's a very difficult situation for the residents there.
Of course, Ilyasu will definitely get in touch with you once that meeting is done with by the Northeast Regional Security Council. But I want to bring in now Dr. Adam Mona, who's a security analyst. And Doc, you've been looking at the developments within the area. 60 houses been. That's more or less hundreds of families being displaced from that community. What immediate security measures would you want to see from the Regional Security Council? And also, looking at the scale of the clashes, the National Security Council should equally be concerned about this. You agree?
Oh, yes, I agree. Good afternoon. Mine is that 60 houses, if you know these areas very well, especially as you move northwards, move towards the northern part of this country, 60 houses, that would amount to probably 2 communities put together, because these are predominantly farming communities. And so if you are talking about 60 houses burnt, that is very serious. And within 24 hours, less than 24 hours, 60 houses burnt, and half of the community, I'm hearing, flee, already gone, run out of the community. That is not very good. But I am reliably informed. When your producer reached out to me, my checks, the quick checks I did indicate that they have men, uniformed men, and, some equipment, security equipment being moved towards the place. And so I am very hopeful that probably before midnight, there will be officers would have more boots on the ground to calm the situation down. And I have spoken to those who are supposed to be running the region and running. It is not northeast. That actually politically comes under what do you call it, Savannah. This area falls under Savannah. And so probably you might have to reach out to the Savannah Regional Minister, Honorable Said, to know what they are doing. But speaking to the region, those who manage the region, a lot is going on in terms of security. They are putting some more effort into getting more personnel onto the ground. But it is unfortunate because then these are two tribes, the Mamproses and the Gonjas. And when you have, if it is not, what do you call it, the same tribe fighting among themselves, and it is inter-ethnic or inter-tribal conflict, it can quickly degenerate if you understand the topography of the place. And so I am hopeful that national security with those who run the region politically and in terms of security would have to do a lot, especially when we are getting into everywhere is going to be dark very soon. I think they would have to do more.
We'll say a curfew be far-fetched if we have that directive coming through?
I think a curfew wouldn't be bad. I will recommend a curfew. The way curfew administratively is undertaken, it has to come from, the DC, the MC, or probably the regional minister. They would have to request, for a curfew to be imposed. And so I am hoping that between now and probably, what's the time now, 6 p.m., if there has to be curfew, they need to do that as soon as possible because they need to put in some measures whilst awaiting more officers on the ground. I'm told some more police officers and some more equipment are moving into the place, which is good. Hoping that if there is a curfew, the situation would have calmed, or to, in a way, before, the massive arrival of men and women in boats, on the ground, because it's the Mamproses and the Gonjas, and this is more to do with some land, some chieftaincy, land relating to chieftaincy, and when you see land relating to chieftaincy, and also by extension, at the same time relating to two tribes, distinct tribes, then it's a very sensitive, very complex issue that needs to be dealt with. Because then you can't say it's just the chieftaincy alone. The chieftaincy is in one leg. You have also land in one leg, and you have two tribes. And so it's a very complex issue, very sensitive issue,
and indeed,
needs to be handled.
And indeed, given the hydra-headed nature of this, it's the reason for which experts are worried, including your lines, as to what the best possible approach may be in dealing with this matter. But if you have one, where do we start from?
Well, I think the Yagbonra versus Nairi, because this has to do with the two of them at the top. The two of them literally at the top, Yagbonra himself and the Nairi, because they control these areas. And those who are fighting are supposed to be, excuse me to say, they are subjects. Okay? And so they would have to probably begin to look at it and ask themselves, why should, our people kill one another because of a certain chieftaincy title, a certain chieftaincy issue or land issue? Once that is done, then the criminal aspect of the issue, for me, since this Boku issue reignited, it is almost as if it is spreading to various communities. So if we are not very careful and we begin to have a second Boku opening up close by, then it becomes difficult to control the situation. Because then you are talking about Mamproses, you are now talking, already you have Mamproses versus what do you call it, Kusasis and Boku. Now you have Gonjas versus Mamproses. So if we don't deal with this issue, with the speed that is required, we are going to probably have a lot of issues to deal with. It will be difficult to control. So I would say that Nairi, Yagbonra, these two big chiefs should sit at a round table and resolve these things whilst the security, agencies deal with it, hoping that the president and his lieutenant will probably put in a lot more effort in dealing with this issue. I mean, for me, I would say that if these two big chiefs in this area or these areas sit and call their troops to order, tell them stop, while they go into what is the nagging issue that needs to be resolved, Then the criminal aspect of it, because there are those who are selling firearms, those who call themselves warriors, and they are usually sometimes paid to go and fight. It doesn't depend on whose side they are fighting. They are paid to go and fight. So once the two chiefs say, no, stop, then those who are paid to go and fight, the police begin to run them up. Then probably will begin to find a permanent solution to some of these unfortunate incidents in this part of the country.
Okay, then we're still paying a close attention to this. We'll leave it for now. Dr. Adam Buna joining us on the latest from Lukula. We bring you back to Accra because Deputy Finance Minister Abinau Sayasari is set to meet pensioner bondholders on issues surrounding their concerns, of course, and issues emanating from Friday's demands for government to address payment problems. As she is appealing to the bondholders to cease picketing, the Finance Ministry will, of course, hear from some of the bondholders who have resumed picketing for the third time because government is failing to hear all of their concerns. But first, though, here's what transpired at the ministry when the pensioner bondholders paid a visit today.
That will allow government some space to operate. We all know what is happening. So when we meet here today, we are meeting tomorrow. Monday, we won't come. Tuesday, we won't come. Wednesday, we won't come, to give you the opportunity to start paying me. If by Wednesday we have seen that you have started paying, we won't come on the Thursday. But if by Wednesday evening we haven't seen any alert system working, then Thursday we are coming here. So today we'll be here, tomorrow we'll be here because we haven't seen anything. We will give you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to initiate the payment. Once we see that the payment have started flowing in, we will not come here on the Thursday. Because until we see something, that is it. That's the decision we have taken, that until we see payment, nothing will move us from here. That one, because we have done it. We have moved from here based on these promises and it's not coming. But so now we give you that time. Within the week, every Monday, a coupon or two may mature, depending on the days. Last Monday, there were 2 coupons. The previous Monday, there was 1 coupon. You don't know. Some days 1, some days 2, depending on the. So if the coupon matures on Monday, due on Monday, we won't stock. We will think that if government want to pay, the instructions will be given and something will be done that Monday. If it wasn't done, Tuesday we'll see a sign. If it wasn't done, Wednesday we'll see a sign. If Wednesday we haven't seen a sign, then we take it that government is unable to pay, and then we come here on the Thursday. So that room is there for you. So today and tomorrow we are here. Monday we will give you the opportunity to pay, to start paying the 15. It will be 6. I don't know what will happen Monday. We are yet to compute what will be due on Monday. Assuming it is even only 1 coupon, it will be 6 on Monday, coming Monday. If we see that action has started on the payment, by Wednesday we have seen some actions, we won't come here on the Thursday. The next week, if actions are doing it, we will also come here. Before I realize, there will be no gathering here.
Let's meet tomorrow, discuss this and look at the long-term payment for the principal. So I would plead that tomorrow you don't come whilst we meet with you and see how best we can look at things. My father here is shaking his head. But as I speak to you, yesterday we collected, or we were given the coupons that were outstanding that we needed to pay, and then we are in talks with Bank of Ghana. And so I would ask that let's give ourselves tomorrow to have that meeting that you said you wrote to us but we failed to respond. Let's give ourselves that opportunity to have that meeting, and then I believe that from Monday you would see some payments being reflected for the coupons.
Madam Deputy Minister, what we will do is that tomorrow we will be here, but our leaders will come and meet with you, so that as soon as we finish, we will come and relay the message to them. So allow them to come. Yes. Yes. They will give you the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You know. Yeah, when we meet, they will put it into writing.
For a meeting with you tomorrow. So we'll put that into writing.
We will also come and meet you. As we are there, they are here. They will be backing us. When we finish the meeting, from that we will know how to what to do subsequently. At least we should also understand you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So we'll wait for that meeting, which is scheduled to start tomorrow, where, of course, the expectation is that by next week, concerns on the payment of principal will be dealt with by the Finance Ministry. Deputy Minister Abnal Sesari indicating firmly that government will begin to address the concerns starting from tomorrow's meeting, when certain if the government will come out with a clear plan on the payment of the principal as demanded by these pensioner bond holders. Dr. Anani Entry will be joining us shortly to explain to us what the way forward will be and the appeal coming through from the pensioner bond holders. Doc, thank you for joining us here on the Pulse. You've had that passionate appeal from the Deputy Minister, giving you some sense of hope that long-term considerations will be given to your coupons. Is that good news enough for you, or you're expecting more?
Well, we are expecting actual payments. And so when the payment starts, we will not be picketing. The meeting that we are supposed to have with them, that we have written 2 times, to call on the government to meet us. You said you want to meet us on our principles. And we say, okay, meet us. And for 2 times you have sent you letter, no response. And so if now the Deputy Minister comes today and say, well, they want to meet us tomorrow, we will go and meet them tomorrow. And we have said that we'll be there tomorrow. Our leadership will go and meet the ministry, and whatever transpires, we'll go back and tell our members, and we'll take it from there. And we have said that we always give government Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to make payments of due coupons. And if that starts, we will not be there on the Thursdays and Fridays. But so far as a coupon is in arrears, we will be there every Thursday and Friday. Then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we won't be there. We expect that even if another coupon is also maturing, or is due on a Monday, by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we should see signs of such a coupon being paid. So the discussion tomorrow will be basically on the principal, as we have already mentioned. You cannot pay keep people's money for more than 100 days without paying interest on these principals. So we are going to have that discussion with the ministry tomorrow.
And the last time we checked, of course, government owes you some 16 coupons and 3 principals. Is there any update on that? Because today it appears there's some updates or variations in the figures. Doc, are you with me? Doc, if you can hear me, I was just asking about the numbers. 16 coupons, 3 principals, but of course we are being told now that it's been revised. I was just asking about the true status of your members. We seem to have lost Dr. Anani Entry there, who speaks for the pensioner bondholders. They will be engaging government tomorrow. When we have updates on that, we'll bring you fallout from that meeting with the Finance Ministry. Of course, the Deputy Minister, they're giving an assurance. You're watching The Pulse on the Joy News channel. When we return, we'll bring you some more stories. Just stay with us. It's coming up here on the program. And you're welcome back. Just this past Monday, 16 precious Ghanaian lives were lost on the Cape Coast Accra Highway following a head-on collision between a bus and a fuel tanker. A provisional crash statistics from the National Road Safety Authority, NSRA, is revealing that between January to December 2022, a total of some 2,373 persons died, resulting from over 14,959 crashes across the country. But the National Road Safety Authority launched an ambitious plan in 2019 to establish 100 emergency response and first aid posts along major highways to address post-crash victim needs. In less tthan 3 years, what is the state of such crucial facilities in the country? My colleague Carlos Caloni tells the disturbing story of the deplorable state of one of the facilities cited on the Accra-Tema motorway.
Now, according to statistics from the Ghana Road Safety Authority, many of Ghana's roads have become death trap, including the Accra-Tema motorway. Now, one of the measures put in place to ensure that fatalities are reduced in the country is the erection of emergency response centers along major roads in the country. One of those emergency response centers is sited here at the Accra Tollbooth area, as you can see here in your shot. It's supposed to protect the lives of victims of road crashes, specifically on the Accra-Tema motorway. Now, we would want to take a closer look at the structure. But before then, let's look at where the ambulance is supposed to be sitting. So this is where the ambulance is supposed to be sitting, waiting to respond to emergency situations that occur on the Accra-Tema motorway. But we are here, there is no ambulance. All we can see are stones and this chair. Now let's go into the emergency response facility itself to ascertain the state of the facility. If there's an emergency now, we expect that there should be paramedics here to protect and save lives. So we are trying to go inside, but as you can see, the place is locked. Now, beyond this, a closer look at the facility itself tells a different story. In your picture is the actual state of the interior of this emergency installation that is supposed to be saving the lives of road crash victims. Regrettably, these items, a suitcase, mattresses, some medical supplies, chairs, and tables have all been left at the mercy of the weather, especially with these shattered windows. The foundation is not just giving way. The ceilings too have joined the party, especially when no electricity nor running water is connected. Sanitation around the facility itself could easily send accident victims to early graves. Clearly, it appears the emergency center rather needs an emergency rehabilitation. But whose responsibility is it to maintain smooth running of critical facilities like this? Does that public official draw monthly salary? Then he or she has questions to answer. How prepared are we as a nation in responding to emergencies on our roads? Reporting from the Emergency Response Center here on the Accra-Tema motorway, my name is Carlos Caloni for Joy News.
And a research conducted by the Northern Patriots in Research and Advocacy has revealed that approximately some 60% of dams constructed under the One Village, One Dam initiative completely dried up during the dry season when they should have been serving their intended purpose. The research also revealed that there was no dry season gardening at any of the dams, but even more alarming is the fact that the average cost of each dam under the One Village, One Dam initiative was around 600,000 Ghana cedis and not 250,000 Ghana cedis initially put out by the Ministry of Special Development Initiatives, under whose auspices the dams were constructed. President of the group, Bismarck Ayorogo, gave the key findings of the research to journalists in Bogatanga in the Upper East region.
Of Northern Ghana CSOs got a support from Africa Center for Energy Policy to do expenditure and performance tracking of One Village, One Dam across the 5 regions in Northern Ghana, and to also find out from community members through focus group discussions, interviews and assessments what they make of the dam in terms of its performance. this is at the back of the policy of government to provide one village, one dam, so that there will be increased agricultural productivity, increased food security, creation of jobs, and reduction in out-migration from the rural communities to the urban centers, particularly the southern part of the country from the north. So we went around and did the study. Most of the dams that we went around, community members are saying they have not contributed in any way to increasing food security and or agricultural productivity in their communities. We went to most of the communities, and one of them is Bilimbisi in Bulisa South. We got there and were able to get 20 farmers, and all the 20 disagreed that it doesn't have enough water for all year round farming. They were dry, the dam was dry. We went to the other communities, it was the same thing. We went to Jadama and asked the same question. So the questions were, one village, one dam has enough water for all year round farming. One village, one dam has contributed to increasing agricultural productivity. One village, one dam has contributed to increasing food security, and one village, one dam has contributed to reducing out-migration as a result of job opportunities. These are statements we pick from the policy documents of the government from the 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020 to 2021 budget statement and economic policies of the government. And regrettably, the community members who participated in the focus group discussions and back it with what we call community scorecard said nothing. The dams did not contribute in any way. So we went further to the dams to see for ourselves, and shockingly almost all the dams were dried up. So no single dam was functioning, no single dam was having water, and there was no dry season farming around any of the dams that we went to.
Well, he's also been explaining what research discovered in terms of the cost of the dams and their key recommendations.
We're able to track expenditures of 285 one village, one dam. And at the end of it all, we realized that government spent over 200 million Ghana cedis on these dams. And when we strike the average, we saw that government spent over 670,000 Ghana cedis per dam against the contract sums as we saw in award letters, 250,000. That is contained in the award letters to the contractors. But our findings saw that on the average, a dam is costing over 670,000. In actual sense, some of the figures, if you look at it, a dam is costing 700,000. But we just made an average, and we're getting 670,000. With this, we think that there should be an audit into the One Village, One Dam project, because this was already stated in the 2018 budget statement. The government was increasing its coverage of the audit to the One Village, One Dam, which is a proper program under the Infrastructure for Poverty Eradication, IPEP. So that was one recommendation, an audit should be. The second recommendation was that before the era of this government and the One Village, One Dam, there existed small dams in our various communities in northern Ghana. These dams today are functioning. If nothing at all, they have enough water for our animals and for vegetable farming throughout the year. Okay, but in the case of One Village, One Dam, as we saw in other areas reflected in the presentation, the dams are dried up. So the second recommendation is that the policy should be reviewed. And with the review, they should involve experts like Ghana Irrigation Development Authority and the MOFA, or Department of Agriculture. But we realize that government has used Ghana oil money, which we call it annual budget funding amount. The annual budget funding amount is a function or a product of law, which is picked from Ghana's petroleum revenue, and to support the budget statement and economic policy of the government every year.
And if you haven't been able to make calls, receive calls or send text messages or even execute some financial transactions this afternoon, it's most likely that one of the 9 million subscribers whose SIM cards have been blocked by the NCA for failure to re-register your SIM cards with your Ghana card. Here in Accra, some calls have already thronged the telecommunication services centers in a desperate attempt to restore their services. Some of them have been interacting with my colleague James Aveji.
This money is because of the mobile money issue, you see. I wanted to make a payment this morning, so they said that the account I used to access before that, I'm no longer used to access it again, that I have to meet the office. So this morning I said, let me come and see them, because before they have been wanting me to register, quite all right, you see. But I traveled, you know, at Voter Legion, some places you won't get a chance to, if you come there till morning till 3 o'clock, you won't get what you want, you see. So I said, let me come to Accra back, then I will do it. Even this morning I made the call, around 6 a.m. I made call finish. So right now I wanted to call somebody again. It's not going. So I said, let me come and see them. You see.
So at first they blocked your mobile money, now they've blocked the call. Are you able to access data?
No, even data too, I can't even access. I can't browse, I can't make call, I can't withdraw. You see, I can't access the mobile money again. That is the issue that brought me here.
Are you sure that they then go fix it?
Quite well, I'm sure. Even I have some money inside, you see, I'm afraid. I have some
big money.
Yeah, big money. I have some money inside. That's why I come here. Even I couldn't be able to make a payment where I buy market. Even from that place I come here. From the market, from the supermarket I come here, you see.
Earlier, you know, here say if you know register where you get money for your Momo, you take the money before them block them.
I heard though, but I was at Voter Legion that time, you see. Not that I don't have chance truly, I won't lie to you, I don't really have chance. You know, at that vote I tried to do it, but a lot of people over there, you see. This morning coming to Accra and it happens on Sunday, you see. So
I'm here to register my modem. Yesterday I came and they said the network wasn't good, so I should come this morning. That's why I came.
Meaning you didn't register it at all since they were?
No, I didn't register it at all.
Did you use it this morning and was it working?
Yes, I did. It was working. Yes, please.
You are afraid they might block it?
No, I'm not afraid. Yesterday when I went inside, they said the network is not working and they won't block it, so I should come this morning.
So you are hopeful that you get it registered?
Yes, please.
I still have blocked, so I have to come and unlock it.
You didn't register it?
I registered it already, but it just blocked.
Did you get a message that it was the registration didn't go through, so you have to register it?
It's not the registration. The SIM itself just blocked. So I have to come and unlock it.
So you don't know why it blocked?
Yes, please.
When did they get blocked?
That was Saturday, last week Saturday.
So you have your Ghana card?
Everything here. Everything is here.
When you say you register it, you did it yourself or you went to some place and they did it?
I went to some place and did it.
And they take picture of your hand, everything, they complete?
Everything, they completed everything. Yes. So
you know they receive call?
I know they receive call. No, not
your mobile money to know they work.
As the SIM block, but the mobile money cannot work unless I unlock it.
Okay. I can't make calls, so I'm coming to open the SIM. I'm coming to do the registration.
Why didn't you register earlier?
Nothing.
Since when were you not able to make call?
Today.
So you don't receive message?
No.
Do you have data? Is your data also working?
No, I don't have smartphone. I'm using keypad now.
So only the calls are not coming. Do you have mobile money on it?
I have not checked if the mobile money is working.
So, but you have the Ghana card?
Yeah, I have.
Just that you didn't try registering at all?
Yeah.
So if you go now and it cannot work, are you buying a new SIM?
Either I will do the registration or buy a new SIM.
So did you hear that you were supposed to register your SIM earlier?
Yeah.
But what happened?
Nothing. Nothing.
You thought that they will never block it?
Oh, why not? I'm sure.
You knew that they will block it?
Yeah.
Just that you just decided not to?
That's no, I don't want to do the registration because I will not continue using it. That's why.
Why, you borrowed MTN money on it?
No.
You didn't borrow money on it?
No.
You just don't like the number again?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Well, there is pressure. The National Identification Authority, as hundreds have massed up at the authority's headquarters to get their Ghana cards, the key document required to complete the re-registration of the SIM cards process. The NIA says it is working to ensure that all eligible persons get their cards. Professor Ken Atefua is Executive Director for the Identification Authority.
How many people are here? I know that they are in the hundreds. And NIA's serving capacity at the head office here, which is a premium registration center, is approximately 600. So in the best scenario, you can do about 650, 700 in a day. That's our setup capacity. Yesterday, we served more than 1,000 because toward the end of the day, I realized that the numbers of people here who had been so distressed could, with some ingenuity, be accommodated. I directed accordingly that every nook and cranny, every space available ought to be deployed and used, and the personnel and material resources found. So we were able to serve the people. I've given similar directions for today. But it disrupts the arrangements that had been put in place. It involves a banking service that has to be respected, a banking service with protocols and procedures that have to be respected. But yesterday, we had to make an exception and get regular accounting staff, finance department or directorate staff, go in and take cash, contrary to our arrangements of people paying with a token, paying with, a PIN, and making sure that accountability and responsibility is without question. But we had to do what we had to do in order to accommodate the situation. Today we will repeat that performance. We'll do our best. But I do not know how many people are here, and I do not know, I cannot guarantee that they will or can all be served, especially because it is a deadline. I understand that there are about 11 million SIM cards that risk being deactivated out of about 36 million or so. And so we know how many, roughly, about 25 something that have been done. And what it means is that across the country, we will have pressure at the NIA premium registration centers in Koforidua, in Kumasi, in Takrade, and on the Independence Avenue at the Calbank head office. We will put our best foot forward, apply our best energies, our best intellect, and our best efforts in the expectation that with that level of focus and vigor and commitment, that we'll be able to serve the greatest number of Ghanaians possible. We don't charge twice. So if there is an exceptional circumstance, refer it to me or to any of our officers, and we deal with that. There are people who fib. There are people who say things that are sometimes, just sometimes, untrue. There are people who come here and hear stories from third parties and then repeat them to the media. Say, I went to NIA and I was told, and they've not spoken with anybody from NIA or working at NIA, but depending on rumors and hearsays from third parties. So let's be fair. If someone has paid for a service, there is no way NIA will charge the person a second time. If NIA has misplaced the person's card, NIA is a responsible and responsive state institution, And there are rules and regulations passed by Parliament governing how we conduct our business. There are policy guidelines or directions provided by our governing board that direct us how and what to do. So in those circumstances, we will obey the law or the policy. We will not subject a person to the tyranny of double payment for a service for which they are entitled to as a matter of free cost or as a matter of a single payment. So let's isolate those things. Let's deal with the real issues. The person who says, I have been asked to pay double, that's a complaint that warrants investigation.
We take you now to the Supreme Court because the court, in a unanimous decision, has dismissed the case filed against the regulation of plant breeders. Parliament in 2020 passed the Plant Variety Protection Act to regulate breeders. The law makes a breeder bound to any measure taken by Ghana to regulate production, certification and marketing of material of a variety or the importation or exportation of the material. Food advocacy group Food Sovereignty Ghana dragged the Attorney General to court, contending that these portions of the law are unconstitutional. The court, however, disagreed and dismissed the case. Legal Affairs correspondent Joseph Agable tells us more.
So the law defines a breeder as a person who bred or discovered and developed a variety, the employer of the person or the successor of the person entitled, and it makes the breeder bound to any measure taken by Ghana to regulate the production, certification, and marketing of material of a variety, of the importation or exportation of the material. And so under this particular law, it requires that breeders apply for a plant breeder right in order to undertake the activity. As far as Food Sovereignty Ghana is concerned, they took the view that sections of the law are unconstitutional. So the first point they made against it is that it constitutes an unnecessary infringement on the farmer's right to save, use, exchange, and sell farm-safe seeds and propagating material, because they took the view that it means that should farmers be able to develop certain breed or variety of crops, they would have to obtain such certification before they can proceed to sell them. They also pointed out that it hinders their rights to propagate material. The group indicated that this particular law arises from an international convention which Ghana has signed on to. And so they believe that once that's not been ratified, they cannot use the back door to pass such a law to attempt to enforce that particular convention. But unfortunately, Supreme Court did not agree with them. But lawyer for the Food Sovereignty Ghana, George Wayo, believes the court got it wrong.
And we can now hear from the lawyer for Food Sovereignty Ghana, who's been speaking to the media after the ruling.
It's in respect of the Plant Variety Protection Act. We all remember the Plant Breeders Bill, which had some couple of years in the Parliament of Ghana. And finally, it became an act, so the PVPA. We sought to understand that the PVPA is hinged on the tenets of the UPOF arrangement. And the UPOF arrangement is an arrangement by some international state parties or stakeholders. It's not a United Nations organization. It's countries that want to go on the path of plant breeders' rights or issues of varieties of plants and their emergence. However, there's nothing that says that UPOV arrangement is part of the laws of Ghana. It has not been rectified at the time we came to court. And it's very clear in Article 75 of the 1992 Constitution that if a law, a foreign law, international law, is to be part of the laws of Ghana, it must come to Parliament for a resolution or ratification. At the time we came to court, we have not seen any such resolution of Parliament or ratification of the UPOV Convention. But this Plant Variety Protection Act, Act 1020, if I'm right, is hinged on the UPOV organization. So it's more or less like we are bringing the UPOV regime to Ghana via an act of Parliament. And so we thought that it's not right. That is what the main issue before the court. And there were a series of issues in the writ as well on human rights, on issues of draconian laws in respect of people who breach these laws, as in if you breach the act. For example, you'll be sentenced to 10 years if you are holding somebody's seedlings and all that. And we know that our peasant farmers are at risk because if you bring in new varieties of plants, and that is what they must plant, and you find somebody in Walewale or Sehubekwai in possession of such a seedling, that is the sanction the person will get. So there were a couple of issues in this act. But the government of our case, or our main case, is that this act is based on the UPOF. And UPOF is a convention. That convention has not been rectified by the Parliament of Ghana. So how can we be made to obey an act or operate an act which tenant or which focus is on a certain convention which is not part of the laws of Ghana? And the court says we have not invoked the court's jurisdiction. But we think that a matter of interpretation, i.e. if a convention, an international convention, an international law, any law out there which is not originally part of the laws of Ghana, if that law has to be part of the laws of Ghana, shouldn't it go under Article 75? And if that has not happened, it's not a matter of interpretation. And if it's a matter of interpretation, it's not the Supreme Court that a party or a citizen will come to for such interpretation. Yet they said their jurisdiction have not been invoked. We are yet to see the full reason, like the court said, the reasons for this ruling, unanimous ruling, will come out. And then we'll advise our clients and possibly seek review, because we think that the UPOF arrangement is a convention. It is not part of Ghana's domestic law. And it is tried law. It's common law for everybody to know. A first-year law student who has done international law understands that domestic law and international law are different. And for international law to be received in the domestic law, that law must come under Article 75 of Ghana's constitution, of resolution of parliament or ratification. And as we speak today, the UPOF convention has not been rectified by our parliament. It has not. There's no resolution on the UPOF convention for Ghana to operate it under an act.
And now, General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, Edward Kariwe, has been speaking to this latest development.
General Agricultural Workers Union, we have been part of this thinking that the law, the Plant Breeders Bill, its content and its intentions are not favorable to the Ghanaian farmer. It's not favorable to the Ghanaian cause of trying to be independent and then control its means of production. You know, in fact, we've seen the law as a form of subjugating the Ghanaian farmer and everybody under its control, under foreign control. You know, apart from the legalities, where the Supreme Court said that their jurisdiction was not properly invoked, and then the reasons are yet to come. Apart from that, you can just see that why should we have a law that will punish the ordinary peasant farmer just because he has shared some seed with somebody else, which is claimed to be a seed from either a multinational or somebody they call a breeder. You know, and the punishment for the violation of the law is also punitive. And I don't understand why matters of this nature, which are not hardcore criminal offenses, why should they receive such a severe punishment? The law, in its present terms, is not a good law for Ghana. It's not going to promote agricultural production. It is going to impoverish the already poor farmers, and it is going to take away their fundamental right, you know, to own their own seed and then also share that seed with other people.
You're watching The Pulse. We'll be right back. Please stay. We take you now to the Ketu North constituency, where some concerned delegates of the National Democratic Congress have hit the streets demanding that top hierarchy of the party conduct a rerun of the parliamentary primary to avert apathy within the area. According to them, it was unfair for the NDC's National Executive Committee to declare Adam Agbana winner of the May 13th primary after the Electoral Commission declared a tie at the end of the polls. Here's spokesperson for the demonstrators, Enoch Amagbede.
Candidates, as declared by the Electoral Commission, overturning the declaration by the EC is not in the best interest of the party in the Ketu North constituency. And the rationale behind that unprecedented declaration is not in the interest of the whole NDC family. The verification stamp provides evidence that a ballot paper has been issued by an accredited official to a verified voter at a polling station. The Electoral Commission has the capacity to emboss each stamp on the ballot papers before they are brought to the polling stations, but it doesn't do so. It is for a reason. The general election is bigger than the parliament, the primaries, and all hands must be on board. The unease calm and the political atmosphere in the constituency shall never be taken for granted. We must not, for the sake of party unity, discourage ourselves from speaking the truth and doing the right things. Do we accept and stand ballots? Our constituency, regional and national elections. Did we accept and stamp ballots in our other constituencies? Or unstamp ballots are valued only in Ketu North? What at all will someone lose if rerun is conducted? We feel like the party at the national level is imposing a candidate on us instead of allowing the democratic process to take place or to take its course and giving us the opportunity to elect our parliamentary candidates and not to select for us. We, the concerned delegates and loyalists of the party, are stakeholders. We demand that the National Committee, the National Executive Committee, looks at their decision again. Let the rerun be done for the delegates to choose the parliamentary candidates as declared by the Electoral Commission. Overturning the declaration by the EC is not in the best interest of the party in the country from speaking the truth and doing the right things. We are sending a very bad signal to ordinary Ghanaians and floating voters about our nature. This is not the NDC ideas. This is not in our DNA. We must collectively toil. We have collectively toiled for so long a time to protect the Ketu North parliamentary seat. We are still determined to do all we can to continue to protect it. Let not the actions and inactions of few people derail our ancient efforts.
And 10 aspirants have picked forms so far to contest the upcoming presidential race of the governing New Patriotic Party. The latest to join the contest are former Railway Development Minister Joe Garte and Asin Central MP Kennedy Ejapong. The NPP has, however, indicated that it is not overwhelmed by the numbers and is expecting more qualified party members to pick forms to contest the race. Samuel Mbura of our political desk is joining us with more via Zoom. Sami, let's start off with 10 so far picking up the forms. Can you refresh our memories on, first of all, the list? Because I recall yesterday we were speaking about the Trade Minister, Alan Kojo-Kyerematen, and some groups picking up the forms for him. How about the NPP and those who are picking up now? Sami, if you can hear me, I'm just asking about a refreshed list. We'll get you to the NPP story shortly, but let's go back to the demands and concerns coming up in the Ketu North constituency. Mustafa Gbande is General Secretary for the party. Thank you, sir, for your time. What's your reaction to the demands?
Come again, sir.
What's your reaction to the demands in Ketchenov?
I've not heard a demand. Can you refresh me again?
These delegates are asking that you rerun the race in the Ketchenov area.
In the Ketchenov election?
Precisely.
Oh no, we have resolved that matter at the national level, and the elected parliamentary candidate was declared by the National Executive Committee, and that ends the matter. We are too far away from Ketchenov. All other issues to be handled as a matter of grievance, and so we are nowhere near rerunning the Ketchenov election, particularly that we found out that the election was transparent, properly organized. There were not voting foreign materials. The voting accounting was so accurate. And then on that basis, all parties were present when we made that declaration. So any other call is surprising to me. Where we are focused right now has to do with the Asinot by-election, and that is the focus of the National Executive Committee and the entire party.
So, given what the group is saying, they have submitted a petition asking national executives to intervene. What are you likely to do?
So that's something that, as far as I'm concerned, those grievances will be something that we'll look at after we have dealt with the most important task ahead of us, and that is the Asinot. And that any other petition, any other concern, of course, I mean, other candidates would have wished that they have won the election. But at the end of the day, one person will win. That person has been declared. The disputes were over two, ballot paper, and we've done an audit of the issues, and the National Executive Committee, duly declared the elected parliamentary candidate. So again, we are not going to be looking at those issues right now. Even if you look at it, it will be a matter of grievances which will be resolved through the reconciliation process of the party. We have a candidate to pick up. What is more important to the party as we speak has to do with our by-election coming up in Asinot, and the government deploying their machinery to try and disadvantage the people of Asinot, and by way of trying to restructure parliament through the Asinot election. That is what we are focused to ensure that the status quo remains as a check and balance on the, wasting and lack of development of the government, and also make sure that the legitimately elected member of parliament for Asinot, out of love of the people, remain intact without being subverted by the machinations by government.
Thank you for joining us. That's Mustafa Gbande, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Grateful. Samin Bora is still with us, joining us with some updates on the NPP race. Samin, what can you report? Kindly unmute so we can hear the points you're making. It appears we're having some challenges there, but we can listen to some of the candidates and their supporters who picked up the forms so far.
In the grassroots, the people are excited about what Honorable Ken stands for. Honorable Ken does not stand for indiscipline. Honorable Ken is honest in terms of his dealing with the country and the business and life. Honorable Ken is patriotic, that he will die for Ghana. He has demonstrated that. So in most of the times, if you hear him talking loud or making the case, it is what people will come in and say that he's non-conformist. Of course he's non-conformist, because he stands for the ordinary people, and ordinary people are not conformists.
How would this play into his chances?
Very easy. That is what people like. People want somebody who is disciplined. Because too many discipline in this country. Indiscipline leads to corruption. But once you see a man that you believe is honest and you're going to work for him, it has to be at the back of your mind that whatever you do, you face the whip very, very squarely. And Honorable is somebody that everybody believes that's what he believes in.
What is his policy for the business community?
His
policy for the business community.
Oh, and that's what I've demonstrated to you, that for all the people running and all the people who have run before, nobody has been a businessman. He's the only person who has done a lot of businesses in this country, across board, whether it's steel factory, whether it's so he knows everything about business.
Leadership of our time will lead to development. It must be seen as transformational rather than transitional. It is not just a matter of the fact that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is leaving and somebody must wear his shoes. We need a competent leader to wear his shoes so that Ghana will be better off than what we are seeing today. It is the reason the youth of this country, women from all walks of life, men from all walks of life are in to pick the nomination form for Honorable Jogati. Thank you so very much.
What is he bringing on board?
Exactly. He's bringing leadership, confidence, developing the economy, prosperity, and changing the narrative of Ghana politics. Exactly what he's bringing on board.
Is it a new direction you're going to set for MPP?
Come again?
Is he going to set a new direction for MPP in the country?
Yes, new leadership, new direction. Although he would dwell on what we've done, but he's going, in terms of benchmarking, he's going to lift the bar to another level.
How do you weigh your chances among the other candidates?
I can assure you, it is not about making noise on social media. Honorable Jogati is a grassroots man. He's in touch with the people. All those you see behind me are all delegates from various constituencies.
And Samin Bura is back with us. Let's try one more time. I was asking earlier about the list.
So far, we have 10 people picking the forms to contest the presidential race in the NPP. We know that the former energy minister, Boakye Agyarko, was the first person to pick the form, followed by the former general secretary of the party, Kwabena Ejejapong. Third person was the former MP for Asante Mampong, Francis Adainimo, a leading member and a two-time presidential aspirant, Dr. Konedu Aprepo. We have the former Agric Minister, Dr. Priya Akoto, picking the form, energy expert, Kojo Poku. And we also had the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, former Trade and Industry Minister, Alan Kojo Chiamantin, MP for Asin Central, Kennedy Ejapong, and former Minister for Railways Development, Jogati, were the latest to pick the forms today. So the earlier voice you heard was a campaign manager for Kennedy Ejapong, Mr. Kwame Owusu, indicating that Mr. Kennedy Ejapong is coming into the race because he has identified indiscipline that is eating up the country, a reason he's coming in to correct the narrative and also ensure that Ghanaians own the business sector in the country so that foreigners will not take over. So that's what his government would ensure. The second person was Adam Majid. He is a special aide to the former Railway Development Minister, Jogati, indicating that they are also on board to transform and empower the youth if given the nod. So, Blessed, what we have now is that 10 people have picked the forms to contest the presidential race in the MPP, and the party says they are still expecting more. We know that nominations will be closing on the 24th of June, 2023. So we still have over 3 weeks for any qualified and interested party member to pick the forms and then join the race.
And you've been interacting with some of the party leadership and members. Do you get any sense that any more persons may pick up the forms?
Well, the initial indication I had speaking with the national chairman, Mr. Stephen Ntim, was that they were expecting 9 people to come and pick the forms. But with today's addition, making it 10, the party is not really certain as to the number of people who would want to contest the race. But what the party keeps on saying is that it is a democratic party and it is open to any qualified member of the party to come and pick the form. So it doesn't matter the number of people that would come. They are ready, forms are available, and they are ready to contain any number that wants to go into the contest.
How about the supporters who are picking up forms on behalf of the candidates? For today, we haven't seen the numbers, though. But how much of a style is that becoming in this whole campaign to become the flag bearer of the NPP? It appears it's becoming a campaign tool as well that the candidates are using.
Yeah, that is a fact, Blessed. We know very well that when the former agric minister came, he came with some farmers and market women. We also saw that yesterday manifesting in the case of the former trade minister, where market queens came to pick the forms on his behalf. The team of Dr. Baumia came on a low key, same as Boache Jako, and then Kennedy Japan, and then the Railways Development Minister, former Railway Development Minister. But he will be addressing the party supporters at Osu. That's what he's doing now. But the euphoria is gradually going down. The indication I'm getting from them is that they would want to make it big when they are coming to file the nomination. And we also do know that there's a ban on noise making in most part of Greater Accra, a reason they are going on a low key.
I see. Any more directives from the party?
Right now, the party is only admonishing those who have picked the form so far to play along with the guidelines that have been given. And the guidelines are that you should embark on a decorous campaign, a campaign devoid of insults, a campaign that would not drag the fortunes of the party, talking about the MPP backwards. What they want them to do is that they should rather preach unity and ensure that at the end of this campaign, the party will not be bruised going into 2024 general elections.
Okay, grateful. Sammy, we'll get back to you as and when we have some more persons picking up the phone. And for now, food vendors have been arrested over disposing of food waste into the Korle Lagoon at the Accra Circle. There's more in our latest series on the Clean Ghana campaign.
Exactly a week since the Accra Metropolitan Assembly sanitation team visited the Kwame Nkrumah overpass to drive homeless street dwellers away.
When
the AMA officials left, some of these persons returned. Despite the noisy environment, with the city bustling and hustling with car honks, some home street dwellers lie peacefully in poor sanitary conditions. Nestled on the hard ground, they have fashioned a makeshift bed out of the pavement bricks and started clothes. A homeless shoemaker pleaded for mercy after the AMA sanitation team threw away his tools. Some homeless street dwellers have also made wooden shafts on the edge of the Korle Lagoon at Accra. These makeshift shelters serve as cooking spaces situated in close proximity to a public washroom, preparing and selling food to the public in those unsanitary conditions.
All the dust is going inside. You can't cover it. Huh? Is this normal?
The AMA sanitation team says they would not cease their efforts to keep Accra clean. Florence Kuchi is the head of the sanitation team.
Identify a problem here. You've seen that we have picked 2 people from here. This is not a place under normal circumstances to even think of sitting to cook food for public consumption. You sit here, you prepare the food here, you send the food out and garnish it for people to buy. When it is raining, you just roll out your waste and put it inside the drain, which is not the best. So we are not going to allow them. We've given them a notice to move from here, but we have picked them. The end will justify what will happen.
She also emphasized the need for governments to provide rehabilitation centers for homeless individuals on the street.
When we send them to court and remand them, how long would they live there? Because they need a rehabilitation center. If we have a national or a state rehabilitation center, we will be able to send these people in there. They will be rehabilitated and then go back to their homes and become useful people for their people.
This, she says, will bring a lasting solution to the issue of homelessness in the capital. A report by Prince Uswansa, read to you.
take you back to our earlier story about 10 persons picking up forms to contest for the upcoming presidential primaries of the New Patriotic Party. And just yesterday, a group of Queen Mothers picked up the form on behalf of Trade and Industry Minister Alan Kojo Chiremating. That form has been received, and the campaign team is upbeat about the contest up and ahead. But how will Alan fare in the midst of 9 others competing against him? Let's bring in Into, who's a former leading member of the NPP as well. General Secretary, I need to put that on record. Thank you, sir, for joining us here on The Pulse. And yesterday, of course, you watched the exercise as it unfolded. The question about whether or not these market women were able to raise the money, first of all, to buy that form for Alan Kojo Chiremating. What does it signify for you?
Thank you very much for the opportunity for Alan's campaign to interact with your cherished listeners and viewers. That, for me, was a very important statement. Now, the background to that is that during one of our regional tours, we were in the Ashanti region, and I believe this particular group was the Race Course Market Group, one of the market groups. They came with a suggestion that when the time comes and the MPP opens the nomination, they are the ones who are going to buy the forms.
That's what they told you. They gave that promise.
Yeah, there was a promise. So we thought, this sounds interesting. I mean, of course, we thought that was a nice statement.
Right.
So I don't know whether we're really thinking about it or like banking on that. But I must say that Alan has a very wonderful relationship with market women generally and traders across the country. From the time that he became Trade Industry and PSI Minister, President Kufuor's time, and then when again he became Trade and Industry Minister, President Akufo-Addo's time. So let me say that Alan has a long-standing natural relationship. And during that period of this relationship, there has been very important developments when traders will have major issues, issues of policy that impinge on their businesses and trading, issues of welfare, fire disasters in markets and his responses and so on. So put together, the market women and the traders generally see Alan as one of their own, more or less. So when nominations were opened and we had this call from Kumasi that, but we did promise that we're going to do this for Alan. We haven't heard anything from you guys yet. I said, wow, I thought...
Initially you thought they were making fun of the situation.
And then, of course, I have been given that responsibility by Alan and the team to handle matters relating to the election itself. Right. So that it was like, okay, so why don't we connect with these women? And here we were. They said, listen, we did make this promise. We want to follow through. Of course, I made contact with our regional coordinator in Ashanti and said, why don't you just then follow up on this discussion? And then the women are saying, so when do you want us to come to Accra? So, of course, we had to help organize it all.
The dates and everything.
Yes, we tried to get them a date and then help them put some transport arrangements together. And it was clear that these are generally elderly women, the leaders, market women leaders, basically. So we had to also help with a bit of logistics, because you couldn't just allow them or ask them to take care of themselves all the way through. That wouldn't be right or even fair. So we helped put it together. And then the next thing was that, of course, Alan himself was very much in favor. We're all excited. So the day comes and he signed the authorization for them to
pick it up.
Then we had to help.
And what was instructive was that our reporter indicated that they had raised an amount in excess of the
That's what they
forms.
told us. But of course, when they raised that issue, what we said was that actually the fee for the forms is only part of what Alan needs to pay for the whole process. You pay 50,000 cedis for the forms, and upon successful completion, you return the forms with another 300,000. So it will mean that we have 1 foot ahead of that section of the process too. That was a very exciting moment for Alan's campaign. And beyond just the gesture, what blew me off, and I realized it also touched Alan, the statement that the leader made, that we are pleading with MPP delegates that bring Alan, because we are in the market, we interact with all manner of people. And I had heard a lot of these things myself, you know. When we went round the country with Alan, you meet MPP people, and they'll tell you, General, you are the leaders of the party. Please bring us Alan. Otherwise, we won't be too happy with you guys. Some will tell you, otherwise, we're not going to vote. Basically, you hear this, and the women come to echo the same sentiments to us and to the nation yesterday. I thought that was a very important statement.
But if you have 9 other persons also picking up the forms, it's making the contest tougher for the Alan campaign, isn't it?
I wouldn't say so. Of course, I've been through a couple of elections, and no electoral contest can be taken for granted. You know, none whatsoever. If you are contesting just one other person, the probability is 50-50.
Right.
When it is against 2 others, the probability reduces for you. So if you are going to contest against 8, 9 others, I mean, statistically, the probability is getting tighter, you know, and the red ball or the white ball might fall just anywhere. But it is also not simply a question of statistics. It has a whole lot of background to it, what is going on in the party, what the individual contestants are made of, what they stand for, and how the party people, specifically the delegates, and generally the voting public also see them.
And I mean, the opinions are widely divided into 2 sides. Some saying, well, it's good for the party because it makes the process democratic. Yeah. There are those who also feel that it's an indication that all is not well with the NPP as we speak, and that's why you're doing some sort of soul searching to see which of these 10 will be the best to represent the party.
Whichever way you look at it, I would think both will be right. Those who would say it is good for democracy, they would be right. Those who would say it is an indication that all probably is not well would also be right, interestingly. Right. So now you've got to pick up these 2 sides of the same issue and then make sense of it. Now, when you say it deepens democracy, why not? When an institution or a political party, for that matter, is truly democratic, you allow people to express their choices and preferences freely, without coercion, without any blackmail, without any cajoling or anything extra that would detract of their own free will. Yeah, right. That is good. But when I was General Secretary, and for the first time, you had the biggest number of people, 17, contesting the party's presidential primary, I thought it was a PR negative, especially coming from a PR and communications background myself. I thought it was a PR negative. Why? Because I thought, look, already people have perceptions about politicians, and they see politicians as people who always want to look for an opportunity to take advantage of the people, so to speak. Now, if they find in one party 17 people wanting to do musical chairs with only one chair in the center, they're asking, so this chair must be really comfortable. It must be really nice. Right. So these guys, what is in there? It raises some bit of negativity. So I thought, in that respect, it was a negative. So that's why I would tell you, on both sides of the coin, those who would be raising those issues would be right.
Yeah. But you have the advantage of the super delegates conference. Is
that
it
is exactly,
to reduce, to trim down the numbers?
So this is going to be the first time we're going to have super delegates, because this is going to be the first time, because when this happened in 2007, it turned out not to be particularly positive.
Okay.
I'm talking about the numbers.
Right.
So then we had to go through some kind of a constitutional amendment to try and scale down the numbers so that going forward, the process itself, first of all, will be a bit sanitized. And then secondly, you would reduce the tensions, the acrimonies by the end of the primary process itself. So after that, those who are studying and taking a second look at the party constitution and that particular amendment are even now saying, look, we still have to look at this issue again and find better ways
of further reducing numbers?
Yes, of handling it such that we would not open ourselves too much, in spite of being a democratic institution, we would not open ourselves too much to all of the jostlings and the competition that goes along with this process.
But what's the fear anyway? Just allow everyone to run.
It's not a question of fear. You are looking at doing things better if you can.
Right.
So those are things that are coming up. I mean, we still have the constitution as it is, and we're implementing it.
Right. If you look at the entire process, whether super delegates, main delegates, whatever it is, what chances would you say your candidate will pull through? I mean, looking at the targets you have, the advantage, the message he's selling to the delegates, do you feel that Alan will still stand tall at the end of the day, looking at the numbers that we have now? 10 of them.
Yeah, why not? I mean, let's face it. Since the time that Alan actively stepped forward to contest for the presidential primary, this would be 2007. To date, he is always in the first two, consistently.
Over the years?
Since 2007. Right. With 17, he was the number 2 after President Akufo-Addo. Right. And even then, at that time, because President Akufo-Addo did not secure 50% plus 1, there was the constitutional need for a runoff. It was Alan who said, look, and it was particularly significant, the gesture that he made at the time. We had stayed at Legon Great Hall area for close to 48 hours and it was still running. Everybody was just totally worn out. For the first time, I remember, there were not police presence, but armed, green-shirted military, AK-47 wielding security personnel. So that would tell you something. There was real tension. So it was Alan who said, listen, we've gone through this. Everybody's so tired. We don't even know what will come out of the second round. And of course, a second round is anybody's game, especially at the time when clearly, I mean, let's face it, in terms of resources, Alan was in a better shape. And at that crucial moment, you can imagine that resources was going to play a key role, and he knew it. He says, listen, let's just reduce the tensions. I'm ready to sacrifice my own presidential ambition for now. Let's forget the runoff. I'll concede to my senior brother, Nana Akufo-Addo. The party hailed this gesture. Nana Akufo-Addo made the kind of response which was quite unprecedented, basically amounting to a commitment, if you would ask me, that, Alan, you have made such a gesture that makes things easy for not just me as your main contender, but for this whole party. He referred to what I consider to be some kind of a principle that President Kufuor would have laid down when Nana Akufo-Addo contested President Kufuor Sunyani 98. He said, of course, I mean, when you stand election and lose, it's not pleasant. I've been to a couple of elections, at at least 3 major elections. I won 1, I lost 2.
Right.
I mean, when you lose an election, it's not the nicest experience. So you go sulking, licking your wounds, and so on and so forth. He told us, President Kufuor, candidate Kufuor then is the one who came up to me in the house and said, listen, I'm your senior brother. You support me. Let me go this time around. Once I'm through, I can bet you. I will back you. It's going to be your turn. At that Legon Congress in 2007, it was the same principle Nana Akufo-Addo picked up after Alan had conceded, and I was General Secretary then, I was physically present. He said, Alan, just as President Kufuor told me, let me also relay this message to you. Alan, you will come after me. I mean, more or less, it may not be binding, but you know, it clearly, to all intents and purposes, represented a certain kind of commitment. So based on that, a lot of people are saying that we want to see President Akufo-Addo giving Alan a clear, active support, or things like that. I mean, it's up to him now, and it's an independent thing, it's a democratic thing. So this is the person that has made such gestures, not just for his own ambition, but also for the whole party. So I'm just saying these things to let you know that, look, Alan has always been in a very strong position, very, very strong, as a leader and a contender in the presidential primary process. So whether it is going to be super delegates or whether it's going to be the final delegate, Alan definitely is a very, very strong contender.
And unfortunately, we've been timed out, so we need to go. But what will be your message?
I thought I had a bit of time.
As we wrap up to the delegates of the NPP as we wrap up on this conversation.
Thank you very much. This is a very crucial moment. I would appeal to all delegates of the New Patriotic Party, and I will resonate the message that our auntie and our mom, the Queen Mother, who led the team yesterday from Kumasi, Nana Sewa Comfort, said, please, delegates, we are in the markets. We interact with NDC, MPP, CPP, everybody. What the people are telling us in the market is that, please, MPP delegates, bring us Alan Chamating, and we will support him, we will vote for him. Not just bring him. He is one person they called the king of trade. In Chi, he said, I was really excited. It just came. The woman said, Alan, king of trade. And he said, commerce is what keeps any economy going. If you have someone who is so imbued with the spirit and expertise of commerce, you have him as president, we have faith the economy has an opportunity and a chance to turn around for the good of all of us. MPP delegates, please bring us Alan.
And we have, definitely, Nana, we'll have this conversation again, I promise you. And of course, it's just the beginning of the contest, so a lot more of this will happen. Thanks for watching The Pulse. We're grateful for your time here on the Joy News channel. We're wrapping up. Log on to myjoyonline.com. We have updates there for you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.